interested in your thoughts on how we align measurement to business goals as opposed to just comms goals.
So you can either measure, I guess, presence and visibility by output, but then you want to actually measure, quality of results, and that's where the kind of the measurement bit really comes into. So in terms of actually measuring comms, it really depends, again, what you're looking to do. So, for example, if you were bringing about an internal comms change, so you're wanting to change behaviour, you go, okay, well, what am I trying to impact? Am I looking at employee satisfaction, for example? Am I trying to reduce the number of resignations, the number of, kind of employee churn? So in that case, you go, okay, well, if that's my business goals, that's my kind of comms objectives. To actually do that, I might look at again, number of resignations, number of, if you're sending it out via a newsletter, how many people actually opened the newsletter, how many people actually read the newspaper, how many maybe clicked on a link to do that. So it really, it's a hard question to answer because it really depends on what your goals are, what your activity is, what the comms goals or comms objectives that you set, and then the best way to measure them.
What I find interesting what you just said with those examples, though, is that it's measuring behaviour. Did people open the email, or did people resign from the organisation? And what we see quite a lot is just pure exposure metrics. Why do you think those are so sticky or so appealing?
Agencies love them. So if you're looking at number of impressions, for example, number of page views to a certain extent, if you look at that in isolation, yes, it does give you kind of traffic, but it's then this kind of so what, and there are very easy measures to report on. And I think the danger of measurement, and this is where I kind of really pull on my purist insights and research background, is that you can actually use a number to tell you what you want it to tell you. So in, for example, agency land, if the impressions, because obviously you're given KPIs and you're given targets, so you kind of pick the number that best reports back on performance. So you can either reverse engineer to get to the outcome you want, or you can basically hone in on one metric to rule the world that kind of tells you, tells you the story you want to tell. Whereas I think it's more important to look broadly, to look at various different metrics that together will inform and tell a story, rather than just looking at one, for example, like net promoter score. So net promoter score gets quite a bit of slack because it's kind of a score that looks at, I guess, net advocacy. So it looks at what are your detractors versus your promoters or your loyalists. And so a lot of organizations will go, net promoter score, great. Hey, we got 60 net promoter score, but that's just one metric, and it might not tell you everything about what's happened with your comms.
Yeah. The issue I have with net promoter score is that it flattens the data, and we know that a really, really cranky customer or cranky citizen, the amount of sort of heat that they can generate is not cancelled out by one person who felt that it was great. There's something really artificial about it.
Yeah, you almost want to look at the outliers as well, because where the outliers are is the really engaged or passionate person. So like you say, it's flattening out, so you don't get the highs and lows, you just kind of normalize. And then you don't get the real detailed insights to go, okay, what are the real pain points? Because out of pain points comes opportunity. So it's about how to fix things. And again, on the highs, when people love it, you're like, okay, well, let's do more of it. So absolutely, by flattening out, you lose that like detailed, in-depth insights.